Hello, again, this is Lino Tadros, and in this video I'll show you another way of actually changing the views for widgets in MVC. So in a previous video I put actually in the description how to get the one using resource packages. In this video we'll show you how to do it with MVC folder as well. Still file system. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to bring up the site in here. This is my 3 press releases, for instance. And so far, when I went to Visual Studio, you will notice that I went into the resource packages folder. There were 2 different packages, like there is Bootstrap 4 and Bootstrap 5, and you might actually have more folders in here based if your company created their own resource packages as well. But right now I'm using Bootstrap 5, and I have under MVC views, if I go all the way to the news, I have the original one, the list.newslist.cshtml, the detail.detail page.cshtml, and I created a brand new one called list.linolist.cshtml in a previous video in the collection. You're more than welcome to see how we did that. The question here is, these changes that I've made are under the Bootstrap 5 one. What does that mean if somebody, for instance, on my website decided to use one template that is based on Bootstrap 4, not Bootstrap 5, and then they end up displaying a news widget on that page that uses that Bootstrap 4 template? They will not get anything from here. So you have to be very careful sometimes is that when you make changes to your news or blogs or events or lists or whatever, if you want it to be in all your templates, sometimes you'll have to copy and paste the CSHTML file and put them exactly in the same place in other resource packages like in Bootstrap 4 or others as well. Sometimes it happens, but that's duplication of work really. So I would love to show you actually how to do this using a different way, which is the MVC way. You see there is a folder here called MVC, and there is controllers, models, and views. If I open up views in here, I can actually create a folder, but you have to be very careful with the name of the folder. It has to be identical to the type of that entity you're going after. In my case here, this is called news. So it has to be called exactly the same way. So let's right click on the views in here. We'll say I'd like to add a folder, and we'll call this one news, and it has to be spelled like that. Otherwise, Sitefinity will have no idea what you're talking about. And under news in here, let's steal one of these files. Let's say, for instance, I'm going to take the Lino list. We'll copy this guy, and we'll go all the way to the top. You still have to use the same rules, which is has to start with list dot or detail dot. Otherwise, again, Sitefinity will not know what you're trying to do. So I have one in here. So let me go ahead and start simple. I'm going to call this one, instead of my first name, we'll call it my last name. I'll say Tadros in here, Tadros list.cshtml. Alrighty. And just to make sure that we are using the correct one, instead of saying hello Lino on this one, we'll say hello Tadros from MVC folder, so that we can remember where this is coming from. I'm going to say Control C this guy. We'll save everything. I'll go back to my website. Let's refresh this, and that will cause a recompilation because we made a change to the project file. Remember, adding that file to the folder under MVC causes a project changes that will cause a dirty of the project, and we'll have to recompile it. So we'll come back here in a few minutes or a few seconds until the gears come up, and we'll start recompiling the site. And there are our favorite gears spinning. And hopefully we'll finish pretty quickly and we'll be able to get back. All right, sounds good. So we are still using the Hello Lino one, and I can open up the edit and we'll see the list settings in here. Now, this is the Lino list. Remember, this guy was available in the resource package folder. But if I bring this down, notice it found out there are 2 of them, the news list and the Lino list, coming from the resource packages. But also the system found a new one in the MVC views called Tadros list. So if I click on Tadros list, we'll say save. We'll take a couple of seconds and it will change, and hopefully we will see, instead of hello Lino, hello Tadros from MVC folder. So that means we're loading from the correct one, no problem. All right, the last thing I wanted to show you, just to make sure everybody is with me on the same page, let me open up Visual Studio again. What happens if we make the choice of actually changing the name of this file from Tadros to Lino? What's going to happen now, folks? I want you to think about that. Well, there is a Lino list in the MVC folder, and there is a Lino list in the resource packages news for the views in here. Which one is going to win? Or are we going to get 2 different options called Lino list inside of the drop down? Well, let's go ahead and see. I'm going to save all. As a matter of fact, because I changed a CSHTML file that already existed, I don't have to recompile the entire site. Only the razor syntax will compile it in place. When I refresh this, we'll say okay. you'll notice we're not going to get gears at this point. It will just recompile the Razor syntax file. Oops, we got an error. So we have to find out what this error is here really quickly. Oh, okay. Well, unfortunately, I did not continue recording, but the only thing was a caching in Chrome. So I just clicked on the refresh in here, and it brought in the entire page from the beginning, and I did not get that error anymore. So sometimes in Chrome, because it's very excessive on caching, this can happen. Don't give up and trying to go debug it. Just make sure you do a Shift F5 and it will load that page and it will get a brand new instance in here and it will work. So I didn't do any other changes whatsoever, I promise. So let's go ahead and click on edit in here again. And if I go to the list settings, we'll say news list. Notice there are two of them. There is the Lino list and the news list. So there is not two Lino lists anymore. There is only one. So the major question is like, which one is it? Is it the one from the MVC folder or is it the one from the resource package? And the rule of thumb here, folks, let me show you. This is should say hello Lino. Always the resource package will win. Always. If you have something with exactly the same name on the resource packages and another one with exactly the same name under the MVC views, always the resource packages will win. If I go delete the list.linolist.cshtml in the resource package one, and I keep the one in the MVC, guess what will happen? Well, the system will automatically start looking for the one in the resource package. It will not find it, so it will go get the linolist.cshtml from the MVC, and this is the only way you can actually bypass the resource package. You have to delete the file from there. Otherwise, resource package is king, will always win. Hopefully that was useful to you to understand the priorities. There is one more thing I wanted to show you in another video, was how to do this with the database, not with files. And that will be our last one regarding making changes to views. So hopefully this was useful to you, and I'll see you soon in another video on Lino TV. Thank you.